Hey, it's Chuck.
For the evening is one chorus of Fight the Team. Halt kick down. Go off.
Wide open, Abuka. Touchdown, Ohio State.
Let's get it.
And I don't think he's going to throw the ball as much as he thinks he's going to throw the ball now that Chip Kelly's on board. And I'm happy about that. More quarterback.
The truth is Ryan Day has made a change philosophically, but it's none of those.
You all know who wins. LSU is the drunkest fan base in the country.
Hey, welcome in. Thank you so much for joining me here at Chuck on Bucks. Appreciate you guys so much as always. I just talked to my son here. We are 1 week away from the NCAA football game being released. Now, 1 week if you pre-ordered, right? So they got you for this extra money to pre-order, which I had originally thought means it could sell out, right? Pre-order it so it doesn't sell out. They reserve your copy. Not what it means. They don't sell out. It's all digital. But for some reason, I paid for the pre-ordering anyway, which he has just now told me gets us the game 3 days earlier and some kind of special package. So I don't know why that's called pre-ordering. That should be, I don't know, upgrading or something, but whatever. We pre-ordered it. We're 7 days away. I cannot wait to see the stadiums, everything that goes around the game. Playing the game, not so much. That's not really going to be my bag, I don't think. Way too time consuming, as this is my hobby, right? I can only have one hobby that I focus on exclusively all hours that I have free, and that's this one. Because I love it and I love you guys. And in the beginning there, that intro was a listener of ours. She sent that to us. That is Doreen, and that is Doreen's daughter. And Doreen's daughter is up on that concoction there, leading the band in the what they're going to do for the day. So she got to be the, I don't know what you call that guy. She got to be the guy on the tower today, and that was shot just this afternoon. So that is fantastic. I love to see how the sausage is made behind the scenes of everything. And by the time you're watching this, that's where I'll be. I'll be there getting some sausage and shooting you guys some videos, no doubt. I hope. We'll see. Anyway, when we talk about the game, we can't talk about it without talking about the big news today about the game, and that is the backup quarterback at the University of Texas is now going to be in the game, as Arch Manning has come out and clarified for everybody.
18, Omaha.
Far,
With
simming
Uncle
right
Eli.
nasty, Z. All right, here we go. Let's go. Gun far, simming right nasty, Z Riz, F Whirly Bird, Alert Scarecrow. All right, use a little cadence here. All right, you ready?
Are you sure about this?
Absolutely. I mean, this is the best way to focus on football.
All right, so he says focus on football. It's a great joke because the excuse for Arch not being in the game originally was Arch he wants to focus on football, which was roasted mercilessly, as it should be, but myself included. A horrible excuse. You don't need to do anything. You just need to sign the paper.
All right, so get your eyes on the safety. Be vocal out there.
Yes, Coach. I mean, Uncle E.
It's better.
Green 18. Green 18. Omaha. So hut.
All right, there he is. There he is. Now!
Boom!
Touchdown! Now that's why you're in the game.
EA Sports. I'm in the game.
Yeah, he needs to work with Uncle Peyton on that side of things because that was cringe. But Arch now going to be in the game, and Texas fans might be excited. I don't know who else will be. I'm certainly not going to play with Texas, and if I did, it would be with Quinn Ewers. That poor guy, man. He was the highest, I believe at the time we signed him, highest Ohio State recruit we'd ever had, which means probably Texas too, right? And this dude is in his senior year, a Heisman campaign he's entering, a team with national championship aspirations, and he's the second most popular quarterback on the team. He might like it that way, but remember that picture before the playoffs last year of him sitting at the table. They were doing the media access, and then the other table where Arch was at, and like 80 reporters were around Arch, and he was just looking back at it. I'll have to dig that up if you haven't seen it. It's an amazing picture. But there was a lot of people angry in the beginning when that came out that Arch was not going to be in the game, and a lot of speculation as to why. Was he holding out for a bigger offer? Was Grandpa not letting him take NIL deals? And then that whole thing came out that he only has one deal with Panini Cards. They won't let him do any other deals. Well, Arch is now in the game, and they are paying him $50,000 to $60,000, according to Pete Nakos. So everybody else got $600 and a copy of the game. Arch, among other guys that are brand ambassadors, got more. I doubt anybody got quite that much. Well, maybe one or two, but 50 or 60 grand as the backup quarterback of Texas. And now Arch is allowed to be in the game and shoot his commercial with Uncle Eli. So there you go. If you were looking forward to playing with the backup quarterback of Texas, you can do that now. Going on right now, the Longhorns' former conference, the Big 12, is having Big 12 Media Days. And there's a lot of good, juicy news coming out of that, including Commissioner Brent Yormark talking about potentially exploring different time options for games on Saturday. I haven't got any of the details on exactly what he means by that. I don't know how that would work, but interesting nonetheless. They're trying everything. They're probably going to sell the naming rights of the conference, so it won't just be the Big 12 pretty soon. They're also talking about bringing in private money, which, they got to do whatever they got to do. I'm kind of rooting for them. I'm rooting for their success, and I hope they can stay afloat. But Mike Gundy had a lot to say. Mike Gundy is kind of becoming, in his older age, maybe like a bootleg version of Mike Leach. Like I'm a huge fan of Mike Leach, and I just love when he would go off on a tangent and ramble on about something. Gundy, not nearly as interesting, but he's got a little bit of that ramble and go off on a tangent in a different direction, and he got himself in trouble. Ollie Gordon, their superstar running back, All-American at Oklahoma State, absolute workhorse stud, got himself a DUI on June, allegedly. Do you have to say it if he actually got? I don't know. My brother told me the other day I need to start saying things like allegedly and watch what I say, because I got a message from a football player about something I said about him on the show. He said, you got to start being more careful. I guess more people are watching, a good thing and a bad thing. Who knows? I don't know. But allegedly he got a DUI. We'll just throw it in there anyway. And they asked him, why then, if he got that DUI, would he bring him to Big 12 Media Days? And Mike Leach, oh my gosh, I didn't say that. Mike Gundy said he had a lot to say. So he said that the first thing he did when trying to figure out how to punish Ollie Gordon was he looked in his phone and he looked up the legal limit. The legal limit is 0.8, and he said that he was or 0.08, and he said that he was a 0.1. So he looked up how much that would be, 3 to 4 beers. And he said, well, 3 to 4. I mean, I've done that 1,000 times.
And then I start thinking about being a parent. I have a 28, I have a 23, and a 19. And first I thought, okay, so I looked it up on my phone. What would be the legal limit? Like in Oklahoma is 0.08, and Ollie was 0.1. So I looked it up, and it was based on body weight. Not to get into the legal side of it, but I thought really 2 or 3 beers or 4. I'm not justifying what Ollie did. I'm telling you what decision I made. Well, I thought I've probably done that 1,000 times in my life. And I, it's just fine. So I got lucky. People get lucky.
So immediately the headlines come out. Mike Gundy admits to driving drunk 1,000 times because, of course, that's what the headlines are. But his greater point was he wanted to bring him to Big 12 Media Days to take accountability for his actions, stand up, say it in front of everybody.
Do you want to go, later in conversation, I said, do you want to go to Big 12 Media? Because I'm not going to make that decision for you. You're going to make that decision. And he said, Coach, I think I should go. And I said, no. Do you want to go? And he said, yes, I want to go. And I said, then we're going to take you. We're not going to shield you from any questions. You're going to face everybody there, and you need to give the answer that you think's best for you. Mm-hmm. And then I hope that you can learn for this and make you a better he's a great person that made a mistake. Help you for the rest of your life. Try not to make a difficult decision as we move forward. But I said, See, there's two things here, Ollie. You need to answer for this, and guess who else has to answer for it? Me.
And I love it. I think the best lessons that I've ever learned at that age, and I was a bonehead, were the ones where I had to stand up and take accountability, particularly in public. I think it's a fantastic way to get a lesson through. I also think Ollie Gordon's a really good kid, and he most definitely probably is going to learn his lesson from this. But when they talked about suspending for a game, Gundy said, what's it going to do if I suspend him one game? Is that going to hurt anything? No. I mean, everything, what's that going to do for him? If we suspend him 6 games, yeah, that'll probably do it. But then that hurts the whole team. So I have to, I have to look out for everybody. What's best for the team? What's best for him? What's best for me?
And I'm going to answer for it. And here's what I'm going to tell them. I'm bringing you out here because you're the person that was in that situation. They need to talk to you. I'm going to tell them that at 4 o'clock today, this is over with for me. We've talked about all this. People have said, is he playing in the first game? Yeah, he's playing in the first game because that's what he does. Okay? He needs to take care of his business. I'm not going to seclude him and not play him in the game. Understand the severity of the situation and know this. Is suspending him for one game really going to matter? Mm-hmm. I don't think so. Now, you want to suspend him for 6 games maybe? Maybe that'd do it. But then I don't think that that's fair to everybody else on our team, and I have to take them into consideration. We didn't really start giving him the ball to game 4 last year anyway, so game 1, if he's not there, what's the effect? I made a decision based on what I thought was best for everybody involved, and from this point moving forward, he needs to try to do better, like we all do. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that I would say to people is just be cautious about judging unless you've never put yourself in that situation.
Exactly right.
And I think that if you look at it that way and understand, hey, Ollie, you're lucky. You could have done something that affects you and somebody else and their families for the rest of their life. And I really believe Ollie feels that way. Ollie's a great person that made a mistake.
Yeah.
And in the end, he decided to just, make him come and face the music on his own. I like that. When we look at the way that problems like this have been handled around the country, there's a lot of different things. But I think in most cases, absolutely nothing happens, to be honest. They do a little, we know for a fact that nothing happens down at Georgia, right? Like, we had some deaths down at Georgia, and Kirby says we got the best education when it comes to that. We just talked about a reckless driving again that happened like 3 weeks ago. That was after Trevor or Travis Etienne, the younger one's DUI. So, nothing's changing there. So I like what Gundy did, and these people that are out there bashing him now, saying that he admitted to driving drunk 1,000 times. I mean, of course, right? So the other day I was talking about the Ohio 4, which I have nicknamed the 4 best linemen in the state of Ohio in 2026, the Ohio 4, to make it dramatic. So the Ohio 4, one member of the Ohio 4, St. Ignatius's member, Will Conroy, 6'3", 270, 3-star, 4-star, depending on where you look, undervalued so far. He's going to be a really, really good interior offensive lineman in college. He had a conversation with Steve Wiltfong, and Steve Wiltfong of On3 reported that conversation. And then at the end, RPM, which is their recruiting prediction machine over at On3, like 247's Crystal Ball, he RPM'd him to Oregon at the end of that article. Now, this we know that Oregon is trying to make a footprint in the Midwest, and that starts right here. And it's one thing to take a secondary player out of the state. When you start coming for Ohio's linemen, like, things are different. You know what I mean? Like, retaliation for that one won't be minimal. We will not have it. Not our big boys. We built the Ohio State football program on Ohio linemen, and that can't happen. So Bill Kurlick, Bucknuts 247 writer Bill Kurlick, been covering Ohio recruiting for 35 years. I'm guessing, based on that article by Wiltfong, got a hold of Will Conroy, and Will Conroy had some things to say to Bill Kurlick. Here's what Will had to say. I have a really good relationship with Oregon, but Ohio State is in my backyard. I really like those two, and I really like Michigan and Oklahoma too. It's close between all of them. They all got a shot. My relationship with Coach Fry is good. Since June 15th, when they can contact recruits, I've had a lot of communication with him and the coaches at the other schools. Bill then asked him when he was going to make his choice. Will said, I'm thinking about that. I could take my time and keep building relationships. I'm not sure. If I decide before the end of the season, if I decide before the end of the summer, it'll be because I'm 100% sure. So that's the conversation he had with Bill Kurlick. If the conversation he had was extremely similar to Steve Wiltfong, which I imagine it was, I don't know how you get out of that an RPM to Oregon unless you're really, I don't know, trying to move the needle. Certainly did for me. Got me all in a tizzy. So I'm calm now. I think it was nonsense, but we'll see. 24/7 Sports wrote an article today, the biggest trap games of each team. And I really love looking for trap games. I always do it when I pull up a schedule, when I'm evaluating somebody's season, because there always is one, man. There always is, especially for us. We always have one where we stumble and we know we shouldn't. And usually when it's over, we're like, yeah, I can totally see how that happened. Team was up for a big game, drained, maybe had a bye week and they were rusty coming off a bye week with a lowly opponent or something like that. But they went through all the Big Ten teams and kind of predicted who they thought their trap games would be. I agree with some, not with others, but we're going to go over the contenders trap game. Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, and Oregon. Those are the 4 contenders for the league. Kind of, right? You still have to include Michigan, I think. I think you have to include them just because they, I think you do. We're just going to include them anyway. Ohio State is, this is what they had to say about the Buckeyes. Ohio State is as strong of a national championship contender as there is in 2024, but even the most dominant teams are not immune to the occasional head-scratching performance. Few spots on the Buckeyes' schedule offer as much of an opportunity for that kind of showing than September 28th at Michigan State, which marks the team's first road game of the year and is a significant step up from the Group of 5 competition it will have faced thus far. There are also bigger games straight ahead: Iowa, Oregon, Nebraska, Penn State, which could drive attention away from the task at hand. So I totally disagree. The trap game is about a spot, and that's not a spot. That's not a spot at all. And, the other team has to have a decent shot at winning. Michigan State's been decimated by the transfer portal. It's going to take some time before Jonathan. That is their 4th game of the year. They are certainly not going to be ready for the Buckeyes. I think the second team could roll out and really, really whoop them good. No, the spot here on the Buckeyes schedule that is primed for a letdown game is absolutely Purdue. You got the big stretch of the schedule where you take on Iowa, then at Oregon, then you're home to Nebraska, who very well might be undefeated. Then you got Penn State. You got those 4 games. And then after that, you got a breather at home on a sleepy noonday with a low energy crowd against Purdue. That right there, that is your game. Undoubtedly. All right. How about the Lions? Let's look at pea soup. All right. So Penn State, they start off at that. I mean, that's a tough game to start. I really like they're starting off at West Virginia. Tough place to play at. What's the name of that stadium? Oh, that guy's. It's a name. It's a name that sounds so West Virginia, like Milan Pusker or something like that. Milan Pusker Stadium. So they play out there, West Virginia. Then they got Bowling Green and Kent. So 2 MACs. Illinois, UCLA, at USC, at Wisconsin, Ohio State, then Washington, then at Purdue, at Minnesota. Your game definitely here, it's UCLA. It's UCLA right before they take on USC, Wisconsin, Ohio State, and Washington. Yeah, it's the game right before that. They're gearing up, amped up, ready to go. They got a tough stretch of 4 games in a row. They're going to host UCLA, and that right there will be that'll be the spot you're looking at. I also wanted to show you that there is a list that just came out, a new list of the updated how many players from each school are in the NFL. The list of UCLA players in the NFL was large, much larger than I thought it would be. So kudos to the Bruins for that, I guess. Good job, Chipper. All right, let's go to the team that I think has the best home field advantage this season, and that is Oregon Ducks. I think they have the best home field advantage in the Big Ten when you look at the quality of team, the length of the flight out there, a rabid fan base, and a stadium that is just raucous. So, best home field advantage. Who's got to go out there besides us? Michigan State, Maryland, and Washington. Used to it. So, Michigan State, Maryland, Ohio State travel out there. Their first road Big Ten game is going to be Purdue after they play Ohio State. That's without a doubt the trap game. Without a doubt. First long trip in the Big Ten. Honestly, moving forward, I think that Washington or Oregon could vie back and forth, whoever is the better team at the time, for the top two home field advantages in the conference, because it's so doggone far away and two really, really loud, hard to play at stadiums. All right, the folks up north, they go to Fresno, then they got Texas at home, Arkansas State, USC. Now, between USC and Washington, there's Minnesota, but Minnesota has a different dynamic with Michigan. And Michigan hates them back because Minnesota talks a lot to them. So I think that this is more likely Illinois is the trap game. They have to travel to Illinois after Washington and before Michigan State and Oregon. Definitely it's Illinois. And Burt plays a physical brand of ball. He plays a brand of ball like theirs. And that could be a game. That could actually be a game. That could be the one on the schedule when you look at the schedule that and you chalk up the wins and losses. That could be the one that they slip up and lose to a team that they are favored over, because I think they definitely lose to all the teams that they are favored over. I'm sorry, that they aren't favored over.
Why you don't see Oregon lose many of their top players over for transfers every year. So, Division Street's just got it going on both avenues, if you will.
So let's talk about this, because you revisited this column last week as a lot of these guys were committing and a lot of this was happening. Is Oregon a blue blood? And you say no. You say they're not there yet. I'm not sure I agree with that. I feel like this was kind of the final step. And
Andy Staples feels like this was kind of the final step to elevate Oregon into a blue blood status, which I've been over 100 times. There are no shifting in the blue bloods. There are 8 blue bloods in college football. That's it. They won't change. That's who they are. You can make a new term, whatever you want, but there's 8 blue bloods. There were before you and I were born, and there will be when we're dead. There are 8 blue bloods of college football. It is an old term coined for those 8 teams. They are the blue bloods. That's it. It's not a changing definition. But if it were, and your argument as a national commentator on college football is that someone has elevated their status by a recruit, you're out of your flipping mind, man. I'm not knocking the program. Georgia's not a blue blood. They're not. I'm not knocking Oregon in any way. But to say that your reasoning is because this, and the final thing he's talking about here is DeCorian Moore committing to Oregon. Because of that, they have arrived into blue blood status, according to Staples. Absurd. However, then he put out his list. Let's just hear him out here.
And I guess you can say they've got to win a national title. And
would that help? Would that help you a little bit?
They don't have one in their history. There has been no first-time national champion since the 1996 Florida Gators. So the next first-time national champ will be the first in a long, long time, 28 years. If it's this year, it's 28 years. But Oregon would be my pick based on.
I don't know who else you'd pick in that discussion. But anyway, Staples went ahead and revised his list of the current blue bloods, in his opinion. And again, phrase is taken. You can call it something else. but he calls these the Blue Bloods. And of course, he's left it with 7 of the original Blue Bloods: Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Michigan, Notre Dame, Texas, and USC. He's taken off Nebraska. And again, we've been over this before. Texas still behind Nebraska in almost every category. If you're going to take Nebraska off, Texas goes too. He's added Georgia, and he's added Penn State. Now, when I did the list with all of the categories to rank the top 10 teams in the history of college football, and I used 11 major categories, I think the ones that most of us would agree are the most pertinent in judging a college football team, a program over time, the most relevant categories, 11 of them. Adding them all up, you wanted the lowest number, right? So Georgia was number 9, just outside. So of the original 8 Blue Bloods, Georgia fell number 9. The 8 original Blue Bloods were 1 through 8. And they were in order of Ohio State, Alabama, Michigan, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, USC, Nebraska, Texas. Texas was last. Then came Georgia, then came Tennessee. Nowhere in there was 2-time national championship Penn State. They would have fallen, I believe, 11 or 12. They would have fallen 12th. LSU was 11. Penn State was 12. So no rhyme or reason whatsoever to have Penn State in here at all. You can make the argument for Georgia, okay. But again, just because Georgia is the it team right now, their history pales in comparison to Nebraska. And I'm not talking about ancient history. I'm talking about the 90s. Like, I was in high school. You know what I mean? And he puts under here his contenders. So in his contenders, Florida State, LSU, Clemson, Nebraska is a contender. That's insane. Miami, Florida, Auburn, Tennessee, and Oklahoma. And of those contenders, they would rank, Tennessee would be the top. Of course, Nebraska belongs back in there, but of those contenders on the contender board, Georgia, Tennessee, LSU would be the next 3 in the category. Now, if you want to talk about the most relevant teams today, that's a different story. Now, if you want to have a new blood category, you can have a new blood category. And in that new blood category, you can put teams like Miami, Florida, LSU. Penn State, I don't know that really fits into the new blood category. But Penn State kind of misses the cusp for both of them. They're not a historic blue blood. They are not on the level of most of the teams we just talked about that would make the new blood category. They only got 2 national championships in their history. And again, national championships, the most overrated stat, as I've talked about 100 times, in my opinion. National championships, until we actually played for them on the field, and especially the old-timey ones, were judged by AP reporters reading newspaper scores. Never even seen games on TV. It is absolutely insane to put any credence on that at all. And I mean Ohio State's old ones too. A lot of people will take it back to the early 30s and say, okay, here's where we decide that now these mean something. I think that's just as silly. It's just as silly. Until you could watch games on television and actually see several teams play or see them on the field. I mean, it's nonsense. I can't stand it. But in college football, part of the charm of the sport is you can have these arguments and there's no right or wrong answer. We all think we're right in our own answers, right? That's the beauty of it. By the way, got this message here from a listener, and this is his license plate. Well, formerly his license plate on his car, which is absolutely fantastic. So I wanted to put that on here for you guys to see. And Staples, that comment, I mean, this guy is just losing it, man. The comment that DeCorian Moore committing to Oregon somehow catapulted them in their standing in college football. It's ridiculous. If you want to look at their recruiting as a whole and say, whoa, there's been a great shift. Nobody's highlighted that more than me. There's been a great shift. That's for sure. All right. So what do we got here? I generally like to look for the storyline in these games. Obviously the Texas-Michigan one has all the story. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait for it. I know most of us can't. The Miami and Florida game, also a huge story. With Florida having their crazy back end of the season, they have got to get this one right out of the gate. In Miami, if they want to be who a lot of people like me think they can be, they're going to prove it right here, right out of the gate. You've had all off season to prepare for this. It's a rivalry game. You got to get it. LSU and USC, how bad is this defense going to be at USC? Have they made improvements? LSU's a nice offense. Garrett Nussmeier's a really good quarterback. LSU favored by 6 in the game. Then you got Georgia favored by 2 touchdowns over Clemson. That shouldn't be much of a game, but what if it is? What if it is? Notre Dame favored by a point going down to Texas A&M. A way tighter line than I expected. I'm really looking forward to that one. That is right off the rip. Then we've got Penn State going down to Milan Pusker to take on the Ears, and that'll be a fun one. Florida State Notre Dame, I'm not so excited for that one. NC State, Tennessee, another I'm really rooting for NC State hard in that. And congratulations to our dude around here, Kentrell Reinhardt. We've been rooting really hard for him for a while. Kentrell Reinhardt has signed with NC State. NC State got themselves a steal. Absolutely a steal. I was really looking forward to Alabama heading up to Wisconsin. I thought that maybe Kalen DeBoer's third game, Luke Fickell might be able to sneak up and catch him. I'm starting to think so less and less the longer I see Kalen DeBoer operate. But nonetheless, if it is tight heading into jump around, Bama might have a problem, man. They might have a problem. We'll see. And then finally, we had Colorado and Nebraska, and Colorado has no idea what they're heading into when they go to Memorial Stadium. That'll be the biggest venue that this team's played in yet. A true blue blood stadium at Nebraska, and a team that is seeking redemption after losing to them last year, and a team that's pretty good. So that'll be pretty exciting. And here's the aforementioned graphic I promised you. So the most active NFL players, UCLA makes page 1 with 39. Buckeyes, of course, are second. LSU third. Michigan fourth. Georgia fifth. Alabama still way out in front. 77 dudes. That's a lot of dudes. Notre Dame representing. Penn State doing well. Washington. How about Washington? That's pretty impressive. More than Oklahoma, more than Florida, more than Oregon, more than Clemson. Iowa really representing themselves well with 42, beating out Texas. Come on now, man. Like, guys, and honestly, the whole reason I did that blue blood breakdown was to prove my theory that Texas was the most overrated, over-talked about, over-publicized program in the country, and had been my whole life. And sure enough, when I ran all the numbers, Texas was 8 of 8 on the blue blood list. 8 of 8. Weak, man. Weak stuff. Weak stuff from Texas. Yet for some reason, man, they get so much pub. And that's why I laugh so hard, like that dude from yesterday's show, whining about NIL battles. And he is, obviously, they've been on the winning end of a whole lot of NIL battles. So, all right, guys, let's get to some comments, and I got to roll. We got us a busy day tomorrow. General Chrome says he's talking about Aaron Dunston, and he's got a theory that that Michigan's recruiting has gotten much better under Aaron Dunston. Look, I know she was just a recruiting coordinator, but is it possible that she came in and laid it out to TCON how bad they are at hosting recruits? Feels like ever since they got there, their recruiting has turned a bit. She wasn't a loss to us at all. We have recruiting figured out, but she could have been a massive pickup for them. Just a thought. I don't know, guys. What are we thinking here? I think we can definitely say she improved it. And we know that those official visits can be the determining factor for a lot of dudes. Kevin Noon had this dude on his show today, and he is from, I think, a sponsor of theirs, maybe? I don't know. But the dude put down a $15,000 bet on a 3-leg parlay. Scotty Scheffler and the Tennessee Vols winning the College World Series cashed. So now if the Buckeyes cash in the national championship, this dude's 15 grand is going to be 440 grand. Oregon's NIL collective is having a lot of layoffs. Things aren't going good at the Oregon NIL collective. 32 vice presidents, 112 senior directors, 174 directors gone, sweeping cuts, according to the Oregonian. So, that's not great. A-Train did not like the conversation that I had the other day about Oregon being last in the Big Ten in the, I don't know what the name of the figure was. Studies, man. Studies. You're lousy at studies over there. I don't know what to tell you. Too much extracurriculars out there. Hey, C's get degrees, says Oregon A-Train. What's on your face? Is that a gas mask on your face? What are you wearing there, bro? AJC 1754. Whoops. Maybe it was better not to see that video. So it's come to my attention that I did not upload a video yesterday that I had intended to show. And allow me to grab that now. All right. So I'm sitting here scrolling through my Twitter timeline, and I just see this as I'm going through. It's me. It's some Michigan dude. He's recording not even a screen recording, but like pointing his phone at his TV. So I'm on his TV set, and he's recording it and zooming in on the trophy and using this to talk crap. And I clicked on his profile. Not the first time he's used it. He sends it off to people, to Ohio State fans, as a way, I think, to say, look, it's been since 2014, the ancient year of 2014, since you won a national championship. Anyway, it really was like, whoa, dude, I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. And then I realized, you come on here and make a jerk out of yourself every night. What do you expect? What are you going to do? Anyway, guys, I'm sorry for the abbreviated, somewhat crappy thrown together show this evening, but I've got to get up very early tomorrow. I've got to travel over 2 hours to go down to the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. I hope to get some cool stuff from that. I'm going to have a great time regardless. Whether I can bring something home to you or not, I hope I can. Maybe I'll go live from the field at the Woody if I could sneak it in. I've brought my little microphone. Maybe we'll do a little live there. So we'll see what happens. All right. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Thanks. Chuck 'em Bucks out.